Good evening and welcome to the Adventures in Lollygagging. I am Aaron. I am going to be your game master tonight, and we are returning to Cubicle 7's Warhammer 40k universe with some more wrath and glory. If you watched last time a couple of weeks ago and forgot about it or didn't watch, I'll give you a brief recap. We had a small palate cleanser last time where our team was headed to Charbedian, the ocean world, in order to retrieve a heretical tome that was supposed to have been left in a small shuttle that had been meant to go to the auction that they had broken up a few weeks before. They got down to find that the shuttle had been confiscated by a Majos biologist and had been disassembled, and that the parts of it that they were really interested in, he had taken with him down into a world fish refinery. They went down, they made happy with the workers down there, the Piscine gang, made their way into the world fish to find this Magos biologist who had already read and digested all of the information for the tome, was quite happy to hand it over to them as long as they left him to his work. Of course, his work was to genetically mutate humanity into greater combat forms that could eventually deal with the Tyranid Hive Fleet. And what he was attempting at that point was to help out the world fish harvesters by making genetic sharkmen. And they were very successful. They had one very large shark man and a couple of smaller hybrids. When the group decided that this just wasn't quite in keeping with what the Emperor was thinking about when he said, "Suffer no mutant to live," the team jumped in with both feet, only to have them be bitten off by this giant were shark. They did take out the Magos biologist, get the book, get torn to pieces, have their armor absolutely destroyed, and the entire group almost be brought to the brink of death before they actually managed to take down the shark hybrid men. They left, we faded away, and they recovered over the next several weeks. Those members of the group who should have been bitten in half, but I was feeling merciful and just had their armor absolutely destroyed, received new armor. And you were able to scatter throughout the Gilead system and throughout the Veronius fleet to recover and take care of some personal issues until the next mission of importance came up. So what we're doing tonight, audience, or at the beginning of the show, is we are going to go through and we're going to let each player, we're going to have a little scene with each player, because in addition, between last session and this session, they all managed to ascend to tier 3 characters, which means the killing gets ramped up exponentially, but they got some interesting things. So we're going to talk about that in a little scene for each of them, and we're going to start. We're going to look over here to the right. We're going to look at Melissa. Hello, Melissa. And we're going to start with Sister Nora. So, Sister Nora, you find yourself on Enoch, the shrine world. You find yourself, in fact, at the shrine of Saint Juliana Gilead. And you find yourself in front of Canoness Jean-Grace Diamina as she stands before you. Sister Nora, please bow before the shrine.
And Sister Nora just wordlessly bows deeply.
And you feel her hand gently touch each of your shoulders, and then you feel the palm of her hand press down against the top of your head. With surprising strength, you're actually forced to lock your body down and go rigid, and veins in your neck pop, and the muscles in your neck bunch up as you hold your head steady as she presses down. Sister Nora, sister of battle, no more. You have proven yourself to be worthy. The Emperor's light has shone through you as you helped guide your fellow teammates, your fellow sister, and others against the foes of the Golden Throne. You have faced heretics. You've faced witches. You've faced mutants. You have faced aliens. And you have faced the horrors that have been spit upon this world from beyond, from the realms of chaos. You have
For the
even
Emperor.
Indeed, indeed. And for that, it has been decided that you will be elevated. And with that, she turns and you see other sisters coming out and coming towards you. And in their arms, they're carrying new armor for you in a different pattern than your standard Sister of Battle armor. And you see another sister carrying an obvious jetpack. And then a third sister bringing this giant case and placing it on the ground in front of the canoness. And then the canoness reaches from beneath her robes and she pulls out this incense and it begins to burn in a halo around your head. And then she pulls out holy oils and she makes the symbol of the Aguila on your forehead. Sister, you are now charged with a greater task. Are you willing to don the armor of a fallen sister, Sister Torella, who fell 100 years ago in a battle against a traitor marine? A seraphim. Are you willing to become the Emperor's agent, an angel in the sky, a bringer of holy fire? Will you accept this charge?
This body is but an instrument.
Stand, Sister Nora. And as you stand up, these other sisters come and they start disassembling your standard Sister of Battle armor and removing it piece by piece, the vambraces, the chest plate. And you're stripped down to your body glove. And then they come in and they begin fixing this new armor to you. The neural plugs in the back of the armor sync up. You feel the pain of it as they lance into your spine, as your own neural system begins to link up with your Adeptus Sororitas armor. And once that is done, you feel another weight settle across your back. And as it does, and as it syncs up with your armor, you feel it also as an extension of your body. This jetpack, these angelic fiery wings that will allow you to take to the sky. And then finally, the canoness opens the lid to this box and she pulls out two ancient Sunfire pattern pistols. She goes, "These Inferno pistols will serve you now as weapons in your crusade against the heretic, against the mutant, against the Xenos, and against the forces of chaos. Will you take them up, Sister Nora?"
They shall burn.
And so, speak after me. The Emperor protects.
The
And
Emperor protects.
And you are a fiery sword in his right hand to mete out his just retribution.
I am a fiery sword to mete out his just retribution.
Sister Nora, you have joined the ranks of the Seraphim. I wish that I could take you back with me and that you could join your battle sisters and lead them. But you are still needed by the Veronius flotilla. You are still needed to help guide the lesser members of your team into the Emperor's light. Do you accept this charge?
Service, as you command.
Blessed is your name on the Emperor's lips. And with that, Sister Nora is elevated to a seraphim. So, Melissa, why
Yes.
don't you tell us a little bit about what a seraphim is, what the archetype is, and then tell us what your new objective is?
Yes. So a seraphim is a dual flaming pistol wielding jetpack wearing badass, basically. So she can elevate out of the battle without taking any kind of opportunity attacks. Her presence alone supports the rest of the party in their resolve checks. And yeah, this is one of those where you flip through the book and you look at the picture and you're like, I want to be that.
Yeah.
That looks real cool. That looks like fun.
Can't wait to see her in action. So now we will. Yes, go ahead.
I will recall a wise structure my drill abbess laid down and its application to the current situation. That's my objective.
Fantastic. So we'll drop straight down from Melissa, and we'll talk to Justin. So Justin, Gavious or V finds himself in the polar regions of Enoch. At the very same time that Sister Nora is being elevated to a Palatine, you find yourselves deep within a frozen glacier on Enoch, in a hidden and unknown Death Watch station that also serves as an Ordo Xenos secure facility. This is not quite as formal as what Sister Nora just dealt with, but you're escorted into the office of Inquisitor Wrathborn, who's sitting behind this great desk of actual wood, an incredible rarity, and incredibly expensive. And he has got floating tomes on either side of him, and he's got a servo skull floating around his head, spilling information to him as it goes. And he's looking down, and he looks up and he goes, "Ah, Gavious. Come in."
Yes, what do you need, sir?
Listen, I'm going to cut right to the chase. We don't have a lot of extra time. As you know, some of my retinue has been thinned out recently due to some of the more recent incursions of Xenos and heretics. And you are an Inquisitorial Acolyte and Psyker without a home, without an Inquisitor. So I'm going to offer you something that I don't offer many people, but I like what I've seen from you. I like the skills that you've shown, and I like the efforts you've taken on behalf of the Inquisition. So, one-time offer. You become my interrogator.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Excellent. And he pulls out a new rosette. It's a slightly different style than the rosette you've been carrying, and you can see it also has his sigil and mark on it. He hands it over to you. He goes, "Press this against your electo. It'll change the configuration of your electo, and then make sure you keep this on you." Listen,
I do so, and we're all set up.
I know that you've been working with the Veronius Flotilla with a team of troubleshooters. I need you to keep doing that. I don't have a lot of trust for some of the members of your team, so I need you to keep a very close eye on them and report everything back to me. Do you have problems with that?
I absolutely don't.
I also
No, go ahead.
covert telepathic screening of their surface thoughts is going to be critical. Anytime you find yourself in an adverse situation where you're facing any of the foes that we've run across recently, I need you to do surface scans of their minds. I need to know if this is something they expected, if this is something they were anticipating, if this is something that they are in support of. It's become very obvious to me that there are traitors within the Veronius flotilla, and they're working closely with traders that already exist in the Gilead system. We've seen enough of that with the smuggling ring.
Do you
I
think?
need you to know. I need you to tell me what you find.
Do you think one of them is within my retinue?
Possibly. Nobody can be discounted at this point.
All right.
Not even you. My own psychers have already run scans on you. Much more potent psychers than you at the moment. I know the particular problems you're dealing with at the moment, the ones that are growing within you. I'm here to tell you that as long as you can hold it together, I don't care. Do the job, continue to do the job. Don't let it get a hold of your soul. And one of two things is going to happen. You're going to die in the service of the Emperor, like all good Inquisitorial agents do, or one day you'll put the full rosette on and be an Inquisitor yourself, and you can figure out what the hell you want to do with your problems at that point. Do we have questions?
I have none.
All right, get out of here, get back to the flotilla, keep an eye on your team, and whatever happens, if one of them starts to turn, put them down like the mad dog they are.
For the Emperor.
For the Emperor. Now get out of my office. And we fade away from newly elevated interrogator Veronius. Now, before we go, Justin, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's changed for V as he went from a psyker acolyte to an interrogator at tier 3?
Well, first off, status. In the Inquisition, an acolyte is more of a servant to an interrogator. An interrogator is still not top rank, but he has now an ability to kind of flash his symbol around and kind of get deeper in the mud, if you will, to figure out some stuff. Think of them as space detectives. That's my job. And kind of really the biggest thing that's kind of changed with me, I have a couple talent changes. One of which is I have spontaneous combustion. I can now just set people on fire, which is pretty sweet in the way of trying to eradicate the heretical monsters out there. And beyond that, my gear hasn't really changed. Everything, I'm still just kind of the same guy. It's just my status has changed. Uh, I don't know if my respect across the galaxy has changed because I did remember when I blew up that planet. So there's that. But as a whole, just kind of higher in my ranking of within the subsect of the Inquisition. So.
And what is your new objective?
Ooh, I forgot to re-roll that. It is now to gauge the approximate interrogative breaking point of an individual. So see how far I can push that guy.
We'll see if we get there. And speaking of influence, all of your influences did go up, and I went in and adjusted them for you. So when you're dealing in social situations, your influence has increased. All right, so we're gonna slide over to Ashley and Sister Celeste. So, Sister Celeste, you find yourself back on the Juliana's Homecoming, the ecclesiarchy ship that you traveled on when you were coming into the Gilead system. And you've been there for a few weeks. You've been in quiet meditation and fasting. You know something is up, obviously. But no one has really had any contact with you. Everybody's been very quiet. You've been alone in your cell with your with the sister with the Sororitas Adeptus texts, with other holy works, just cleansing yourself, body, mind, and spirit. But for the first time in weeks, there is a knock at your door. Up until this, at every point, people just walk in and deliver you food and walk out. But someone is actually knocking at the outside of your door.
Please enter.
And you see a sister enter in her full Sororitas armor. Sister Celeste, you've been summoned to the chapel.
All right.
She goes, please just come as you are. And she turns on her heels and steps outside of your door.
And Celeste does follow.
And as you get out there, you see on the other side of your door are 6 more battle sisters, all in full armor. And they form ranks around you and begin to slowly march you towards the chapel without saying a word. As you get closer and closer to the chapel, though, you start hearing, well, to be honest, at first you start feeling these hymns, moving through your body. The deck plates are actually vibrating with the intensity of it. And as you move into the chapel, it is completely lit by hundreds of actual wax candles. And choirs of sisters are on either side humming this deep hymn, and you feel it just reverberating through your chest. And at the end of the chapel, near the Holy Emperor's statue, you see Sister Superior Jessiel Thorne, the leader of the Adeptus Sororitas that came to the Gilead system. And she is kneeling before the altar, making the sign of the Aquila, her head bowed. And as you move in towards the altar, she looks up and she beckons you forward.
And Celeste approaches and then kneels next to her.
And so you're kneeling with her face to face. And she leans her forehead forward so she makes contact with your forehead, and she grabs both of your hands in her hands. And although this is an older woman, there is no frailty in her body. Her grip is like iron, and you smell kind of a cinnamon scent coming off of her. And she just begins to say the Emperor's Prayer, and then she goes through several litanies of worship that are standard for the Adeptus Sororitas, and she encourages you to join in with her.
Oh, as soon as she starts the first one, Celeste immediately joins in.
And your voices are point and counterpoint to this growing hummed hymn around you. And you lose track of time, but just knowing all of the litanies you've gone through, you know that you have to have been kneeling here for at least 4 hours. As she finally stops and then stands, pulling you up with her. Sister Celeste, you came with us to the Gilead system, knowing that in all likelihood your entire service to the Emperor would be here, cut off from his holy light, only holding his essence within us. You came with us as a hospitaller, a healer. But you have changed, Sister Celeste. Confess to us who you are now in your heart.
Palatine.
Indeed. And so we have seen in our hearts the Emperor's urging. Although your hands can heal, and she looks down at your basically mechanical body at this point, your fully augmented form almost, you have been transformed into an instrument of holy war. You are a sister who will lead other sisters into battle. You are Palatine. You have always been Palatine. You have simply shed the shell that was holding you back. And now you must rise as a Palatine to help us scourge the heretic, the mutant, the Xenos, and the witch. And Emperor forbid the fell powers of chaos. Do you accept this charge, Sister Celeste?
Yes, for the Emperor.
I have a grave request of you. I would not ask this of you if I did not know that you were strong enough to bear the weight of it. But I would ask you to continue to serve with the task force. Continue to support the flotilla's agenda. Continue to support their mission. For their mission, at least as we see it now, is our mission. You are fortunate enough to have another sister with you. Rely on her strength. Be prepared, however, to put down anyone else on your team who falls beneath the high standards of the Emperor. Anyone who falls within the Emperor's shadow, who begins to slide into the arms of chaos, you must have the courage to save their immortal soul by destroying their physical form. Can you do this, sister?
By his will.
Then we shall part and allow Sister Celeste, Palatine, Adepta Sororitas, to go forth in the Emperor's name to humble his enemies and lift up his allies. And they do. They part, and then in that very moment, as soon as they part, the hymn ends. And it's almost like a crashing wave of silence that washes through you and propels you out of the chapel. Ashley, talk to us about a Palatine.
So they're pretty cool. They are senior military figures within the Adeptus Sororitas with years of experience, often in command of a battlefield mission. But their real strength lies in their ability to lead and inspire sisters under their command. So I got this cool ability, Fury of the Righteous. I can spend 1 faith at any time to activate Fury of the Righteous until the start of my next turn. While Fury of the Righteous is active, any allies with the Adeptus Ministorum keyword within 6 meters of me gain plus rank bonus dice to melee attack tests.
Nice. And at the moment, your rank is 1 because you
Yeah.
guys reset to tier 3 rank 1. But that would apply to Sister Nora and to Wigbert Hahn when he is back, because he is an Adeptus Ministorum Death Cult assassin. And I know all those people watching out there are going to say, Death Cult assassins aren't part of the Ministorum. They're part of, the Adeptus Administratum. And technically that's true, but they're also sort of super religious fanatics. So within the game's context, he is Ministorum, and we're going to treat him as such when he comes back. Thank you, Ashley. What is your objective?
My objective was Melissa's, so I re-rolled, and now I need to invoke an Imperial Saint such as Alicia or Celestine to bless my achievements.
Nice. And of course, you did travel on a vessel consecrated to an Imperial Saint. Juliana Gilead is a saint, so you've got that in your back pocket too. All right. As I said, obviously we don't have long tonight, so Wigbert Hahn, our Death Cult assassin, will catch up with what he looks like at tier 3 in a couple of weeks. But until then, let's check in with Jeff and find out what the heck happened to Birk Talv. So we pull away from the fleet. We pull away from Enoch, and we find ourselves sliding back in to Evacris, and then deeper into Bloxia, the hive city where we were recently traveling when we were trying to track down that stasis coffin. We see the Church of Dwindling Existence, where we met the High Luminum Ossifa, and we see Birk Talv walking into the front doors of it, back into the pitch dark of the interior of this church, because, as we know, the followers of the motive force that are brothers to Talv have no eyes and have no need to see as we see. The motive force itself guides them through a very special way of interacting with the world. And you're drawn deeper and deeper into the chapel. You've been summoned by the new High Luminant named Sinead. And as you move deeper in, you can feel the life energy and the motive force of dozens of your brothers all around you within this chapel. You can sense them. You can identify individual members that you know, but they're all standing completely still, like pillars of basalt within the darkness. Even their electroleech staffs are not lit. The only way you know they are there is because of the bioelectrical fields that surround all of them, the motive force connecting you. You continue to move through and into the office of the High Luminant. And standing before in the office, which has now been completely, all the furniture that was in here, everything, all it was completely blank. There's absolutely nothing in this room now, except for the High Luminant standing in the middle. And she's drawing a big circle around herself with her electro leech staff, and energy is crackling up, and electricity is fusing through the air. The static electricity is caressing your body like an old friend. She says, Brother Talv, you've come.
I am here as Lord of the High Luminant.
Obviously, you have heard that High Luminant Ossifer was deleted for her heretical actions, as was the Archdominus Vakul, who deleted herself rather than face the Inquisition's retribution. Do you have thoughts?
Such is the fate of those who put their own goals and motivations above that of the own Messiah.
And you see her electro-leech staff just flick out and stop mere centimeters away from your face.
And he doesn't flinch.
Brother Talv, you speak truth. They put their own political interests, and she spits, above the blessings and worship of the Omnissiah, above the motive force itself. This cannot be tolerated. She failed and she was deleted. But you, Brother Talv, we have been watching you. In each of your encounters, in each of your actions, the motive force flowed through you. You are an agent of the Omnissiah, not of other imperial interests. For this,
I am merely a conduit. I have no desire of my own. I wait.
Indeed. Indeed, and that is why you are so valuable to the Omnissiah. You accept his gifts, and you let his will flow through you. Others have lost their way, and we must root them out. We are trapped within a very small bubble here within the Gilead system. And if the Mechanicum is to succeed and thrive, we must all open ourselves to the will of the Omnissiah. You must
He
be
remains
that
quiet.
agent.
He literally remains quiet because it's just she's stating the obvious to him.
You have been elevated in the eyes of the church. You are now gifted a greater representation of the Omnissiah's will. She brings that electro-leech staff back into her right hand and concentrates on it. And you see it begin, the lightning to flicker up it. And it's no longer bluish lightning. Now it's just pure white. And the amount of energy coming off this electro-leech staff staggers anything that you could produce with your own electro-leech staff. And she starts twirling it in her hand as her blank face looks directly into your blank face. And then you feel the crackling energy arc down and directly in front of you. And her staff shatters your staff. inferior weapon. You are not an inferior agent of the Omnissiah. And then she holds out this electro leech staff for you.
And he reaches out this like thick black glove over his hand, and he grabs it, takes it from her, doesn't say anything, doesn't even say thank you, just grabs it, and then immediately begins to like mimic the movements that she's been doing, quicker and quicker, flurling it around his body and on the ground here and there. And like as he holds it, he like all he thinks, like he is as fervent a devotion, the devoted person he could be. He just thinks like the flow, the governed. The governor is gone no more. I can feel the force throw. Yes. And he just puts it down in front of him, and he looks up at her, and he just says, I accept this gift. I shall carry the Omnissiah's will. I shall be the spark in the darkness until he chooses to snuff me out.
Then go, brother. Return to the lesser beings that you work with. See to it that they do not defile the name of the Omnissiah, that they act always in the interest of the Omnissiah first, the Imperium of Man second, where you can. Carry the stave of X, first brother to the first High Luminan of our order, and vanquish our enemies with it. And then she just turns around and walks back and starts looking at data screens, having completely dismissed you.
And he leaves as well. And genuinely, he probably almost feels a touch at ease, because that is what he thinks is probably the proper behavior, whereas the High Luminan felt in the previous one, Ossifa. So he'll turn abruptly, and he'll walk out and past his brothers if there's more still around, and he will just chest held high, and as if nothing has changed.
Fantastic. So what, Jeff, what is the ceremonial advancement for your character look like?
Okay, so it's not a different it's not a different archetype. So basically, I got a couple different things. Most notably, it is we're using it to upgrade my weapon, which gives it a couple different traits and just basically buffs it in a different way. Like Talv is all about his staff. Like that's all he really is. And so it's increased some of his damage, some of his armor, his armor penetration, and a couple other smaller traits here and there. And so that's the big thing. Is the big thing it's done. And then the other thing I would say, either before, maybe even after this, actually, he probably undergoes a very significantly significant in terms of length and probably of pain, but he doesn't feel that. So where we see like a montage of him in like an augmentation bay, and his skin, his dermis is literally being peeled away, and it's just kind of set off to the side, and you just see that kind of blue-gray dermis is no longer there, and all you see is like the extraordinarily complex circuitry of his electus, and various places as these like mechanics come up, they start fusing these different bits of metal and fiber, and then slowly begin to re-stitch and reattach the skin over top. As I'm also taking a little bit of subdermal armor to make myself a slightly sturdier in combat. And so when he gets up out of the chair, and as the hours pass, however long that might have been, and he leaves, like his body still looks the same. He hasn't changed his clothes, his robes, his half robes are basically the same. But you can see there's small like patches here and there now over top of certain essential joints and muscles, where you can actually see a bit of fiber or like a metal plate pushing against the dermal skin. And he doesn't ever wince, doesn't ever care whatsoever, and it does not interfere with the glow and the flow of the electus.
Nice.
Nice.
And what is your objective?
So my objective, and it's my favorite one to do, is to extol the virtues of cosmetics over the weakness of the flesh.
Perfect.
Because
You're right
all
in
I
your
have to do
wheelhouse.
is just state facts. That's all I got to do.
It's like,
Yeah.
look at me. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll
So
do that
this is
objective for free every session.
yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
So this is our tier 3 crew for starting out. So about 6 weeks to 2 months have passed while all of these things have been going on. One quick question before we get into it, though, for V, what are you doing to hide this miasma of corruption from everyone? I mean, obviously, Inquisitor Rathborn knows, but what are you doing to hide it from the general populace?
So I essentially have a series of oh, I forget the word. Dang it, my brain just stopped. Incenses that is constantly being pumped out of me. I'm trying to claim that it's for some type of like glory to the emperor
Mhm.
and respecting cleansing of the heretical nature around me. However, it's just to cover up the general fart smell that I exude on a regular basis. So
Okay.
just a constant stream of incense coming out of me to try and battle it back.
So
And
you're
remind-
like a car that has a whole lot of those little like
Yep.
tree like air fresheners just hung up in the
Yeah.
car just to okay.
So
Okay.
let's do
Got it.
this. Reduce your wealth by 1. And what we see are a series of 5 tiny cyber skulls from animals, probably large birds, that have been retrofitted as incense emitters. And they're just constantly floating around Gavious, putting this off. Now, mechanically, though, remind us what it's all about. Isn't it when you roll a complication, some bad things happen to your war gear?
I can't remember where that note was at.
What there was a bad thing with this? I don't
How
know.
could that
If you
possibly
can't
be?
remember where the note is, it must not exist. I mean, isn't that how it's
It
played?
just doesn't happen.
I got it for you. Don't worry. So, effect.
There we go.
I can't find it on my character sheet.
Whenever you suffer a complication, you may choose to have one item of your war gear crumble and become useless. Or the GM, that's me, can spend a point of rune to choose an item of war gear to crumble and become useless. When you make a melee attack, you may shift to give the target the poisoned condition with a damage of 1 mortal wound. So that's a positive to it, but there's also the negative. So, but you do this.
I have a stinky knife to stab
Yeah,
people with.
Sticky
Okay.
knife. So, like I said, about 6 weeks have passed, and you all, from your various positions, whether you're on Enoch or you're within the flotilla already, or you're down on Evacris, you get a summons. You get a direct Voxcast summons to come to the Ducal Coronet, the flagship of the flotilla, for an immediate briefing. And as you
Okay.
come aboard, you see people waiting for you, and like they're rushing you on an individual basis into a briefing room. You've never seen this much activity or this much haste for anything. But you're quickly brought into a small conference room, and once you get in there, you see somebody you've never met before. It's not Helene Veronius. You see a kind of a short, squat man, maybe 5'6", wearing a very rumpled suit. He looks tired. He's got this cheroot in his mouth. He's going bald. He's got he's got kind of roomy look to his eyes. You don't see any augmetics on him though. And he's like, hurry up, come in, come on. He seals the door. You guys feel the pressure change in the room as obviously he's activated some sort of countermeasures. He's like, no questions. Just listen. My name is Hexus von Dimer. I work for the Commodore, for Jacques Veronius himself. This is a mission from Jacques Veronius. Grasp that. No questions. You are to go forth immediately and rescue an Imperial asset that is under assault. It's on a small moon, Plenio, that orbits Ostia, the agro world. You get there, all I can say is that we received messages. They were confused and written in an obscure symbology that was untranslatable. However, we were able to glean that a small but powerful landing force has assaulted the Enclave at that location. Since then, contact has been lost. You are to go there, get this navigational asset, recover it, and get back. What are you still doing here? Your Arvis lighter and your pilot are waiting for you. You should already be in the air.
Talv has
Presumably.
left the room already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Celeste
Yeah,
is
Talv
right
does
behind
look.
Tallow.
You hear the guy muttering behind your back. Finally, some people who get it. And you get to the landing bay. You see the Arvis lighter that you've used several times before. It's already fired up. The engines are already idling. You see your pilot. He's in there. He's waving you guys on. Hey, we got emergency clearance to take off. Is everybody ready? We got to go. They are trying to hustle me out of here.
Talv
Yes,
Talv
of course.
will-
What are you waiting for?
Strap in.
Is there a seat next to him, or is it just like one pilot seat? In
No,
the
yeah.
cockpit?
No, you can get up in the cockpit.
He will sit right next to him and not say anything to him. He'll just sit there and just like that's it. Just cross his arms, and he's got the staff kind of off to the side, and as if he's just waiting.
Fantastic. We're going hard burn to Plenio, full thrusters. So you're probably going to puke if you're not used to this. So buckle up, sunshines. And he hits the full thrusters. And you guys have never felt this craft move like this. And it is moving hard. I need everybody to give me let's call it a difficulty 3 athletics test or survival. I'll give you either one.
Definitely athletics.
Gavious is fine. Nora's
Okay.
fine.
Talv's good.
Tal's
Celeste is good.
Celeste is good.
With
All
a
right.
Wrath critical.
We're tier 3 now.
You guys are rushing. So you feel it. I mean, your guts do flip. And you see the ships from the flotilla just arcing by you. And it's the fastest trip to Ostia you could possibly imagine. And he's coming in, he's like, listen, this is a little tricky. These coordinates they're a little tough. This enclave is it's tucked away underneath an outcropping of some ferromagnetic rock. It's making the aspects go crazy, but I've got exact landing location, so we should be fine. And as you guys are coming in, anybody who wants to give me a difficulty 5 awareness test.
Real quick bookkeeping question. We're cleared of wounds and shock and everything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you
And
guys-
all of this
yeah.
downtime. Okay, perfect. I was like,
I-
wait, mine was a difficulty 4. Let me not start off.
Yeah, nobody has
There you go.
wounds. You guys are all 100% healed up.
Okay. Talv is not paying attention.
Okay.
Oh wait, I have
He's
two
in
more
deep
dice
prayer
because
and
my other
meditation.
eye.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, those are fails.
Okay. You guys all have
Success.
full wrath, so if anybody wants to try to get to 5 successes,
Oh, did
you
nobody
can.
pass?
I
Nobody
succeeded,
passed.
so I don't need to. I did. Oh no, I didn't. Never mind. I forgot
Difficulty
how to,
5.
how to read.
I'll,
Big old
4 or
stamp.
5, it's close.
11
don't have
Wrath
to.
critical.
Nice.
There you go.
4 shifts.
Holy Okay, you know all the things. So, Sister Celeste, I mean, you are heavily augmented. You're a heavily trained
I've
soldier
got
now.
both augmented eyes now.
And as you're going in, you see that the massive stone walls of the Enclave, there's several sections of it have been destroyed. based on what you're seeing, it looks like probably from targeted explosives. And you're able to pick out there near the landing area. It was kind of hidden by some sort of light reflecting camouflage. Is a much larger craft than the Arvis lighter that you guys are coming down in. In fact, you recognize it as a Thunderhawk dropship. And with your Wrath Critical, an insane number of successes, I'm going to say that you also recognize that. I mean, this is a standard drop craft for Adeptus Astartes. What you recognize is the markings on it are clearly heretical. And with your number of successes in your critical, I'm going to say that you recognize the markings as belonging to the Traitor Legion, the Emperor's Children.
Okay.
Devotees of Slaanesh.
This hits even harder because I'm going to pair off my backstory. Because I started out as Back from the Brink, and that would be the heretics that almost killed Celeste the first time she almost died.
That's right. So you're facing up against potentially an old foe.
Mm-hmm.
Your pilot, he's like, hey, I'm going to bring it down. I can get us down. Just hold what you got. It's going to be a hard landing. And
she'll
then,
like call that out just to warn him so we don't land too close to it, because that could be terrible.
Holy okay. I'm going to drop, land, and then I'm going to pull up couple 100 meters and just keep an eye on things then. How's that? I think we got to keep this intact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So boom, hits the ground hard. I mean, he lands well, but it's a fast landing. And the doors pop open.
Yeah, and we all pop out in a battle formation, ready. Celeste is scanning for immediate danger.
And as soon as you get out, and the Arvis lighter's engines fire back up and pull up, and you get out of that halo of noise, you can hear the sounds of gunfire and explosions coming from within the enclave. And as you get closer, you see signs of obvious battle. You're about 30 meters away from the entrance to the enclave, and you see a half a dozen female warriors in an oddly patterned power armor. Anybody can make a difficulty 8 scholar check for me, or Sister Celeste and Sister Nora, you can make a difficulty 4 scholar check for me.
I was going to say 8's not happening, but 4 might.
4.
Talv got a wrath complication when he attempted the scholar. I'm not rolling well tonight.
Let's roll that complication and see what kind of fun stuff will happen.
Nora got 4 successes and a wrath critical.
Ooh,
Harsh
nice.
environment. So something collapses, terrain becomes difficult, that kind of stuff.
And that makes sense because there's been a lot of damage around here. And I think as you're looking at the battle scene, you're kind of moving into an area where there's a lot of scree, a lot of rubble, and it's a little bit difficult terrain for you in this particular area. So your movement is halved while you make your way closer to it. Now, Sister Celeste and Sister Nora, you both immediately recognize this pattern of armor from your studies. You've never actually met a sister like this, but you recognize that this armor is patterned for the Psychana Anathema, the Sisters of Silence. They are blanks. And what that means, you would know, and actually V would know. Talv probably wouldn't know, but he might have an inkling. What that is everybody alive has an echo in the warp, in the Imperium. That's how people interact with the Imperium. That's how Psychers, they have a greater echo in the Imperium, not Imperial, the Imperium inside the chaos. So that's why they're able to draw on psychic powers. But everybody does have a reflection, and it's that reflection that draws demons and things to the barrier between chaos and the real world. And that's how they interact with living people through their echo, and that's how they get pulled into the real world. Blanks, on the other hand, or nulls, have no reflection in chaos, no echo in the Imperium. They are blank. And because of that, it's very difficult for psychic powers to work around them, and and demonic creatures have a very difficult time dealing with them. You recognize that these Sisters of Silence, the Emperor's right hand in the war against the demons, they had a monastery here. This is what their power armor looks like, and you see on the ground at least a half a dozen of them in broken and torn armor, their faces in this rictus of pain and righteous fury, and around them you see at least 5 members of the Emperor's children in their deep purple and black armor, some of it shimmering with weird pastel colors and with these strange iconography etched into their armor that it makes you feel sick inside, but also aroused, interested, hungry, lustful. Just looking at them pulls at you. However, they're dead, so that pull is not enough to tempt you, and mechanically not enough for you to have to roll corruption. But it is that unsettling feeling of unnatural hunger and lust that settles on you just looking at these traitor Marines. In addition, there's probably a dozen cultists and mutants lying dead on the ground around these valiant sisters. But you can still hear the sounds of gunfire and explosions from within the enclave.
Nora sort of looks over to Celeste and sort of looks out over the bodies of the other sisters and just sort of quietly says to her, their sacrifice will not be forgotten.
And Celeste, kind of acknowledges that with like a nod, but she's more focused on the ones that are still alive who may need her now. And so she's looking for danger and how will we quickly get there without too much hustle.
Okay.
Without one thing
hassle.
that I think Beric wants to do as he's standing next to Celeste and are looking at the bodies with no tact, because Talv doesn't know what the word means, he will turn to Celeste, ignoring Nora, and he will say, had they augmented themselves in the fashion that you had, Sister Celeste, perhaps they would not have fallen. Perhaps that they would have been more successful. Their weak flesh was no match. Augmetics, the machine god, faith, the force, devotion to the Messiah, and improvement to oneself as you have shown. Perhaps they would have been here with us now. As he tries to extol the virtues of augmetics over flesh in an extraordinarily cruel and rude and tactless moment.
I love it.
I'm sorry, it's just so much fun.
Objective completed.
Yeah.
Objective.
I'm sorry your
completed.
friends died, Nora, but they sucked because they weren't robots.
And I believe like Celeste and Talv had to have talked about how Celeste one day wants to have like her own order of augmented sisters. So she kind of just nods along as she's like, could have changed things.
Talv will also continue talking about recycling and taking their bodies and things like that. And then eventually he'll just kind of stop talking.
For a second there, I thought Jeff did research and knew what he was talking about with the Emperor's children. Then I realized he was talking about the sorry artists. I was like, oh my God, does Jeff know
No.
what they do? I'm like, and then it's like, oh, never mind. Okay. Never mind.
No.
Hey, that's okay. So, Sister Celeste, give me an awareness check. You said you're looking for danger.
I would love to. Uh, 10.
Okay.
3 shifts.
Okay.
Ashley, leave some dice luck for other people. My goodness.
That's pretty impressive. So,
I got new eyes, okay, guys?
you're badass. So what I will say is you're not caught in the surprise attack. as a traitor marine who has been hidden behind a Camellia cloak, because he actually had a stealth rating of 10. So right as you see him is when he stands and opens up with his auto cannon at the rest of everybody. So he's doing a multi-attack, firing all the rounds in his auto cannon, but he has a salvo of 6, so he's going to be okay firing at the 3 of you without any additional difficulty. So let's have some fun. We'll start with Jeff. So I'm gonna roll your attacks separate. I'm gonna roll the attacks separately, but the first damage is going to apply to everybody.
Gotcha.
Let's do it that way. So what's your defense?
My defense is only 3.
All right. He misses you.
Wow.
Holy shit!
Of course he does. Of course he does.
So you see this auto cannon come across, and Birk, maybe because he's in in an area of rubble, you just kind of fold out of the way, Matrix style.
Yeah.
But the cannon continues to track across, and it's got V coming up next.
Wow.
And also misses. So I think so. What happens is this traitor marine was setting up his ambush, and then he sees Sister Celeste lock down on him. So he got up and is firing from the hip faster than he was expecting to have to. But he's tracking his cannon across to hit Sister Nora.
Oh.
What is your defense?
My defense is 3.
3. Okay, so he's going to hit you. But let's roll the complication first and see if it is going to obliviate that hit. No, okay, but it is going to restrain him, which is nice. He's not going to be able to move. So I think as he locks down with this cannon and fires the last of its rounds at Sister Nora, he kind of gets pushed back a bit, and he's kind of just off-footed. But the rounds are going to sink. What is your resilience?
10.
10. Okay, armor piercing 1, so it takes it down to 9. So you will take 6 wounds. Of course, you can roll determination to move some of those to shock, if you would like to.
I would like to.
Okay, so
3 go to
3
shock?
of them. 3 of them go to shock.
And 1 goes to wound?
3 to wounds, 3 to shock.
Oh, 3 wounds, 3 shock. Okay.
So you guys see this auto cannon locks empty because he used his salvo option, so he fired the entire magazine, and then he throws it down on the ground. Top of the round. Who wants to go first? You guys, you'll have to go a full movement to get at him, or you can charge. However, at the moment, Birk, you're in difficult terrain, so you can't charge at this point.
We're not in range of the blanks, are we? Because that'd be useless.
Well, they're all dead, so
Okay, all right. I thought I didn't know there was
Yeah.
one still. Okay.
yeah. You don't see any live sisters outside. You can still hear the gunfire and explosions going on from inside, but perhaps the traitor marine in front of you is a little bit more concerning.
I guess I'll start if that's okay with the group. I'm gonna set this some bitch ablaze. So I'm gonna do a combustion on this Emperor's Child.
So talk to us about spontaneous combustion.
I focus my rage, eyes glowing with warp fire, until my enemies burst into flame. Target hits with this power suffer 12 plus 1 ED damage and must make a successful difficulty 4 agility test to avoid being set on fire.
Okay, so first you have to hit the target's defense. His defense is 4. So with your psychic mastery check, you go up against his defense.
So just hit 4 for the base.
Yep, for the defense. Yep.
Roll.
Easily
Success.
succeed
With a shift.
with a possible shift. And for spontaneous combustion, the shift is either well, he's got 1 shift, so it's plus 10 meters range. So I mean, he was already in range, but Okay, go ahead, and he suffers 12 plus 1 ED damage and has to make a dead agility check. So let's see that damage.
How do I've never
Just roll
done.
1d6. You'll be fine.
I've never done this type of damage before.
Yeah. So you're just doing a base 12 plus 1 extra die.
There we
You
go.
got 2 more, so you got 14. But you see him shrug a lot of that off. You figure that Trader Marines are probably pretty resilient. Let's make that agility check first. He does not succeed on his agility check, so he is on fire.
Don't worry, guys. It's just a giant space marine on fire running at us now. We're okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine.
Nothing's wrong.
And he is going to roll determination to try to soak the 2 wounds you did to him. He does soak those to shock. So he shrugs, he's burning, and he's just looking daggers at you all now. As his system takes a bit of shock. He is restrained, though, so he can't move. And his auto cannon is empty, so he pulls a bolt pistol out. And he is going to fire a D4, 1 Birk, 2 V, 3 Celeste, 4 Nora. 1. So he takes his move action to aim at Birk. Seeing this electro leech staff, maybe he recognizes the warrior monk and knows the threat that he can be. So he aims his bolt pistol down at you. What is your defense is 3?
It's 3. Yeah.
All right. And 1 bonus die for aiming. Gets 5 with 1 shift. So this explosive round comes at you, and you take 12 wounds. What's your resilience?
7.
So do you want to roll determination to move some of that to shock?
I think so. All right. So let's do that. All right. So that. Oh, I forgot to put the thing in. So I rolled. Was it 3? 3 successes?
Yeah. So 5 because you rolled 6s. So
that's right. I got my
Yep.
So that's
So
good.
5 is shock.
Yeah, 5 to shock, and then you said 12, right?
Correct.
All right. So that
Minus
means
your
it's gonna
resilience.
Yeah, so 7. So I have 7 resilience, and it's 7 damage. Does it have to meet, or does it have to exceed? I always forget.
No. So you got 2, 4, 5. Well, your resilience.
My resilience was 7, and you did 12 damage. So 5.
Right, so
went
it's down to
shock,
5.
So
So
7 still go.
What? 5 goes to shock. 7 goes to your wounds. But no,
Okay.
he did a total of 12, and your
Okay.
and your resilience is
7.
7.
7. So
Yeah.
that takes it down to 5. All 5 are soaked up by shock. So you take 5
Okay,
shock
perfect.
and no wounds.
All right, I totally forgot how to do that. Okay, got
That's
it.
okay. Which because we
That's what I
play
was
too
trying
many
to do there.
games.
I know that's
Math
it. That's
earlier
totally
too
what it
is
is.
fine.
So many rules. I'm just double checking on fire
There's
right now. I got to see if he takes it on his turn or at the beginning of the round.
I literally teach math, and I have no idea what you just said. It's okay.
Yeah, I like that.
5 plus 7 equals 12. So 7 resilience absorbed, 7 of the damage. 5 of the damage was pushed to shock.
Okay,
Jeff,
so he
this
do-
isn't lore.
so
There are things that
This is
Justin
data.
knows. That is lore. Math. Nah,
Nah,
too
This is
much.
data. He likes lore. I'm a more of a data guy to me. That's fine.
So
Mhm.
Justin, go ahead and roll 1d3 for me. 1. Okay, so he takes 1 mortal wound, and since he already rolled determination this round, he can't roll it again. So the wound goes through as he's on fire, and he just looks at you, and he tears his helmet off, and he's smiling. He licks this long purple tongue, just kind of folds out of his mouth, and just kind of licks up the side of his face, licks the fire on his face, and he just smiles. And at that point, you see on his cheeks these other small sucking mouths open and close, almost like fish mouths. And it's back to you guys.
You gracious.
Talv, you want some boosties?
I wouldn't give it to me this round because I mean, how long does it last? Like, does yours last until I attack, or does it last just for
It's
like
the
a round?
next round.
Yeah, because I can't get to him this round, so because I'm hindered.
Melissa?
I would be doing something different. So like your boost, because I don't do melee.
I have a gun one.
Oh, you have a gun one too.
Yeah. Girl, I got you.
You
Okay
got
then.
all the hymns.
I'm here to sing songs for my friends. Which is not that one. It's not the passion. It's divine guidance. So I cast divine guidance upon Sister Nora, which grants double rank bonus dice to ballistic skill tests for 1 round.
So it's +2 to your attack rolls as you feel this holy hymn roll over you. You feel the light of the Emperor guiding your hand.
And with that, everyone will, for the first time, see Sister Nura raise up with her jump pack to use her
Nice.
movement, which requires a DN3 pilot test.
It's only when you're trying to land. So getting up is okay. Landing is the tricky part.
Oh, okay. I thought it was any time you were flying you could fall.
No, if you're doing something crazy like some weird maneuvers, but if you're just flying up, I wouldn't call for a pilot check.
Well, okay. So then I'm going to be up in the air and then shoot with my Inferno pistol.
Are you just shooting with one of them, or are you shooting with both of them?
Just one.
Okay.
Gonna see what this is like.
I dig it.
Because if I do two, then I've got to figure out the like. Yeah, I'll just do one.
Okay. His defense is 4.
4. Okay.
Also,
6
spent a glory.
Sorry, Sister Celeste. I completely ignored what your
+2 dice.
+2. Let me roll that. Okay, so still 6 successes.
Yep.
And a wrath critical and 1 possible shift.
So let's go ahead and roll the wrath critical and just see what that's all about.
Okay. Unspeakable carnage, a truly grievous strike. Target suffers 4 mortal wounds. +1 mortal wound for every glory you spend.
So it's a D4. So
sorry.
Yep.
1d3 +3.
Yep. Go ahead.
So
And
I
roll
think it was a 1. It was a 1.
Okay.
There was a 1 was the roll, so it was 1d.
So
1
4
+ 3.
So roll your damage now. So because those will go automatically through because they're mortal wounds. 18 -4 AP, so that takes it down to 8 resilience, so 10. And 4 mortal wounds. Do you want to spend any glory on adding to the mortal wounds?
I think I'll leave it here.
Okay.
Yep, I think I'll leave it.
So you burn into this Chaos Space Marine, a horrible, grievous injury. You light up his back. His carapace splits open. You smell rotted, burning flesh, and you can literally see into his torso as organs in there begin to cook off. But he's still licking his face.
And
he's
she
still on his
will
feet.
shift that into glory.
Okay. I will spend 1 point of ruin, his personal ruin, not my general ruin, and he is going to attack again. And this time he is firing at Sister Nora, who just shot him,
Sure.
which seems fair. And your defense is
3.
3. I'm going to make it 5 because you're flying. Come on. Okay, there we go. But he's going to connect, but he's going to get a complication again. So,
And 2 possible shifts. So there's that too.
yep. Okay, so he runs. So his bolter pistol fires at you and runs out of ammunition. But we're going to roll some damage now. 11, 13 points of damage. What is your resilience?
10.
10. So that's down to 3. And you already rolled determination this round?
Yes.
Let me double check. I was thinking you could only roll determination once per round, but I don't know that that's actually true. So I'm going to double check.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the quick guides, which probably wouldn't have that, but it's fine.
You
I
can
will
roll
probably
determination
just take
whenever. Okay, but you can roll the determination if you want to. It says you can roll whenever you want to. Otherwise, you would take the 3 wounds.
3. Yeah. Yeah, I'll roll it.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your determination.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, you take 3 shock and take 0 wounds. As
All
his
right, I'm
bolt
almost
pistol
full of shock.
As his bolt pistol goes empty and he tosses it down, and he's scowling. But it's back to you guys. I think
everyone
it's
gone?
just
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's you.
Just me?
It's just you.
Okay.
Yep.
So then I think Bjork will start to move a little forward, but since you can't charge, what kind of tech is hanging from the Marine or anything like that? Is there any sort of tech of any kind? Something?
I mean, he's just wearing his Mark V power armor, and he has a chainsword. That's about it that you can see at the moment.
Okay. Chainsword will do. So I'm going to make an interaction attack. So basically, I'm going to try. So I can do this. I'm going to use tech. Normally, you'd have to be right up on it, but because I have signal booster, I can do it from a much larger distance. And so I'm going to move up a little bit, and then I'm going to hold the staff that I've just gotten out and just see if I can kind of almost projectile crackle some kind of signal, whether it's an actual arc of electricity or not. And what I'm trying to effectively do is just cause that chainsword to malfunction. And that's what I'm attempting.
Okay. Typically, during an interaction test, you can only make the individual hindered or vulnerable, but I like where you're going at. So if you succeed, we are going to reduce the potential damage of the chainsword for the round.
Oh, I was just picking the tech because I wanted, it has to be a piece of tech that I'm interacting with for it to be technology. So that's all I was doing. I wasn't assuming the thing was going to malfunction. It's just more of flavor.
Oh, for flavor? Okay.
Yeah.
Flavor.
Flavor. So, and then I'm gonna obviously Haster Cravo is going to be helping me with this to sort of help. He's kind of floating in the direction as this is a tech test.
And he is defense is 4.
Okay, thank you. All right, here we go. All right, that'll be 5 successes. So I think I just want to make him. His defense is only 4. That's not particularly high. So let's go hindered then. So his stuff is reduced by a die.
Yep. Difficulty increases by 1 for everything he tries to do. We're at the top of the round. And I'm going to spend a point of ruin to seize the initiative. Because he sees. He's a little outgunned. He doesn't really recognize what V is. He knows that Byrrc is some sort of mechanicum, but he sees a member of his ancient enemy. He sees the power armor of a Palatine, Adeptus Sororitas, and he charges. at Sister Celeste. So we're going to have some fun. So he gets +1 bonus die. He loses, but +1 difficulty, so we'll call that even. As he charges in with his chainsword, you hear this horrible grinding. It's not like a normal chainsword. It's like the shrieking sound of someone in ecstatic agony as this guy, this horrid traitor marine in this vile purple armor charges down on you. What is your defense, Sister Celeste?
It's now 3,
Nice.
which
move
is
out the middle.
super exciting.
Nice.
You got 3 successes,
Okay, yeah.
shockingly, on a terrible roll, but it was good enough to hit. So you feel this chainsword start to grate into your armor. 19 damage. What is your
So,
resilience?
I have that thing you told me. My Rosarius protects me from armor pierce up to 4.
Yep, he doesn't have any armor piercing with a chainsword,
Okay.
though, so it's just
My
flat damage.
resilience is 10.
Okay, so 9 of it's going to go through, either
I
to
would like
wounds or to shock. So
Like to roll determination. Which, go figure, it doesn't let me.
So you take 9 wounds.
Shit, okay.
How's Sister Palantine looking these days?
I have 9 wounds out of 10.
Okay. So
Oh no.
little roughed up as this
I'm
chainsword is
still
biting into you. You know, it's tearing through your new Palantine armor. But you guys are up now.
Considering he's here in my face, Celeste is gonna take her power sword and just try and feed it through because his helmet's off.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna go for like his clavicle and try and just behead him, essentially.
Okay, now is this flavor beheading, or are you like actually trying to hit his head?
Flavor.
With a called shot. Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it. His defense is 4.
So, okay. I'm not rolling my power sword yet, right? I roll.
Yeah, you can roll your power sword.
Okay,
It
cool.
should be equipped.
Yes. Why is it wanting me to post the item? Never mind.
New stuff.
If you go and check your gear and see if it's equipped on the
It
gear
is
tab.
equipped.
Uh-huh.
Clicking on it though doesn't let me do anything.
Let me take a look real fast.
I feel like people weren't sufficiently impressed about Nora flying. Hello. Nora's flying above the battlefield.
I was able to roll it for you.
Cool new
So
thing.
Thank you.
you got 7 successes with 1 possible shift. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter, but go ahead and roll it.
It won't let me click it, so you may have to.
Oh, that's right, because. All right, 10
10
damage, AP 3. That does get past his resilience. And since he only had 1 wound left, describe your kill, Sister Celeste.
So as he's got his own sword kind of shoved through Celeste's armor on her side, and it's scraping against metal, and he's not getting blood, but there's some sort of fluid from one of her augments like dripping down, and she just takes her brand new sword that she hasn't gotten to use, and it kind of latches into her arm for stabilization, and she just drags it down and just viciously hacks into his neck, and it maybe takes 2 or 3 before she snaps his spine and his head falls to the ground.
Nice. And as you're hacking away, these little mouths on the side of his cheek are almost look like they're blowing you kisses, and you hear this weird smacking noise as his purple tongue is lolling out of his mouth. And as his head pulls free, the tongue whips out and kind of just caresses the vambrace of your armor as his head falls off. And then his body just slumps down and begins to liquefy into like a black sludge. But you have defeated this Emperor's Child, this Slaneshi champion. Yeah, that's why I was asking if you wanted to spend any glory on mortal wounds, because he only had one wound left after your
That's
big
what I
hit,
was
Sister
thinking.
Nora. I was like, but you guys, so he's down. And in that moment of quiet, though, you no longer hear the sound of gunfire or explosions coming from inside the enclave. What would you like to do?
Well, I'm
Sister. Well done.
and Celeste just kind of coughs up some blood because this seems to be a theme for her. And again, she just smears it along her face into a cross. So she just gets ready and just kind of she has to pull his sword out of her. And she's like, just keep it moving.
And Nora will look to Beric and look to V. Onward.
After you.
All right, now, Sister Nora, give me that piloting check as you land.
DN3.
Let's see if piloting a jetpack and jumping are the same thing. That's the question.
Oh, son of a bitch. Wrath complication. Let me read this. Hold on. There's a thing with complications with this.
Wow.
So I failed.
consistency.
So
The consistency with Melissa sucking
I know.
at vertical
So
transport.
there's scattering rules. A complication triggers a crash, which deals a minimum of 1d3 shock plus falling damage.
Okay. So let's.
I'm almost maxed on shock.
Okay, so that's 1 point of shock.
This maxes me on shock.
Okay, so you're exhausted now.
Uh-huh.
Oh, this is starting so well today.
And then falling damage. The link doesn't quite work, so I'm not quite sure what falling damage is exactly. But
it won't. You're not high enough for it to exceed your resilience, so we're not going to worry about the falling damage. You just land really, really hard, and the scattering doesn't really matter too much because you guys are on the ground, so it's not like you're going to fall off a bridge or anything. However, you are exhausted. That's not good.
That was where I was going back and forth between whether I take the wounds or take the shock. Either way, because I knew it put me closer to shock, and I chose wrong because I only had one to go for my max of shock.
So on your turn going forward, you can only walk or crawl, which is not a big deal, and you can only take a basic combat action. So you can't aim, you can't do multi-actions or multi-attacks, or you can fall back. In addition, you can't roll determination, obviously, because your shock is maxed out. Sure. Any shock you would receive is immediately converted into mortal wounds, which you cannot soak.
So that was a real bad choice to put it over.
Exhaustion's rough in this game. So we see Sister Nora, she lands hard. You know, maybe this is a hard fight. I mean, it's a traitor Marine. You slowly pick yourself up. You're moving slow. Sister Celeste has got blood trickling out under the grill of her armor. She took a hard hit. But Beric and Gavious seem just fine.
Gavious is usually fine. Hiding in the back. Am I allowed to do a quick Medicae roll, or does that take like an hour?
I think you can probably do it in combat, or I mean, in a quick manner. Let's just double check on Medicae.
And then I need to look up how do I get rid of shock? Do I just need to
get
basically got a
Talv skill?
Or you can have shock restored using a medikit. So like a difficulty 3 Medicae check will restore your rank +1 shock. In addition, you can spend wrath points to recover shock. So I mean, you can do that now too if you wanted.
Okay.
So for your and we'll get to that here in a quick second. So for your Medicae check, yes, you can do a Medicae check. If you're attempting it on yourself, it's at a +1 difficulty. So it would be a difficulty 4 Medicae check for you.
Okay.
And you restore 1 wound plus plus an additional wound for each exalted icon.
Okay. And I'm not dying, so I'm just gonna rip it. What?
That didn't actually roll anything?
Oh, you got a difficulty 4. So you made your difficulty, so you heal 1 wound.
Okay.
And now let me double check on spending wrath points to get rid of shock before we go on. 164. It's a check that you have to make. Restore shock. As an action, you can spend a wrath point to recover shock equal to your rank plus your tier. So if you spend a wrath point, you will get 4 shock points back.
Oh, heck yeah. So I had 2 wrath. I now have 1 wrath. And so now I go from 7 down to 3 shock.
And you are no longer exhausted. So
she, like, you see her, kind of flying, and she was showing off a little bit, like coming back to the group as she's like kind of doing this cool new thing that they haven't seen her do yet. And then she does the thing that happens when you're trying to show off, is that then when she tries to kind of like modulate it and come back to the ground in a reasonable manner, she falls on her ass.
I like to think you haven't even used it yet. So like this was your first legit landing.
Talv, I like to think it's going to be right next to you, if it's okay with you, when you crash, and he'll just turn, reach his hand out to help you up, and then he'll just kind of stare at you with his like blank eye sockets, shake his head, and then walk away.
So you're all back on your feet, a little bit patched up. Are you going to head into the Enclave?
Let's go.
Yeah, we're just gonna watch out for additional danger on the way.
Okay.
Because the last time we went to an Enclave, there was those traps, the booby traps for bombs.
Yep. So you're moving your way into the Enclave. Gavious, as you get in, you immediately begin to feel uncomfortable. A kind of twisting of your stomach. You break out in sweat. You feel your connection to your psychic abilities waver a little bit. It's all, and you feel almost like something is watching you. You see a long stone corridor of clearly ancient design hewn directly from the Pharos rock of Plenio. By hand, it looks like, based on the tool marks, leading off into the distance. There's an atmosphere of quiet tension to the place. But the sounds of gunfire that you expected to hear have grown have stopped altogether. And all you hear is the silence broken by your own footfalls. You see signs of obvious combat as you move deeper into the Enclave. You've been walking for about 10 minutes, slowly doing a slow patrol crawl, making sure, you're checking the area pretty thoroughly. And you come up to an intersection and you see leaning against one of the walls is a young woman with short blonde hair. She immediately looks up and tries to pull up a bolt pistol, but you can tell she's grievously injured. But she stops halfway with the weapon halfway raised, and she goes white as a sheet, and her jaw drops open. Because in that moment, Gavious, your sister, Angelica, recognizes you.
I obviously have like a rough time contemplating. Rush up to her, bring her close. Angelica, is this you?
And as you grab a hold of her, that sickness you were feeling inside of you increases 1,000-fold. Almost, you feel in your heart and mind you're grasping an anathema, some horrible creature, but your mind tells you it's your sister, and a part of you, the thinking part of you, recognizes something that you did not know before. She clearly carries the pariah gene. She is clearly a blank. She's just sobbing. She's like, Gavious, I thought you were dead. I thought you were dead so long ago. How are you here? And she's kind of falling into your arms and sinking down to her knees, pulling you down to the ground with her. And you can feel her blood coating your body as you hold her now.
I thought you did.
I-
I went to that planet. I tracked you down. I found you. And then the Exterminatus, I thought you were caught up in it and died as well.
I was, or I would have been. An Inquisitorial team from the Ordo Hereticus was making a final sweep, and they saw me, and one of them was a null like me. He recognized my pariah status, and they swept me up, and they took me with them. And how did you get to the Gilead system?
I did everything within my power. I pulled all the strings I could. I became an Inquisitor to. I just knew. I knew you weren't dead. And all of this, all that I've done, it's all been in search of you.
She's crying, and she's like, I knew in my heart that you would find a way to save me. And she's getting weaker.
Yeah, she's a sister, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's a
Yeah.
sister of. She's a novitiate of the Sisters of Silence.
Celeste allows a little bit of talk before she actually callously pushes V out of her way, and then she quickly sets to work, trying to heal her.
And you see her eyes go a little fuzzy, and she's like, "Sister," and she reaches out to you, and you feel the same revulsion. Not to the extent that V felt as a psyker, but you feel it. But you also recognize what the cause is, so you're able to push through it. Give me a DN3 Medicaid check.
Okay.
Oh
12
my god!
successes, 4 shifts.
Okay.
And as Celeste is
she's
praying
reborn
over her, is there like a sister who is like a high ranking of the null kind of status people, like a saint?
Yeah, there is a rank for it. They're called prosecutors.
So she'll recall like maybe like a hymn or something regarding the prosecutors, and she'll lead her through this because I want to keep her conscious as I'm working on her, and I'll lead her through this hymn with her as I'm working upon her.
And her eyes are still a little unfocused, but you hear her humming this hymn with you. And you are able to, with your medikit and your incredible skill and the resilience of Adeptus Sororitas, the innate resilience, you're able to get her back on her feet. And you see her eyes focus quickly, her breathing kind of returns to normal. She puts one hand on your pauldron, and you can tell she's the thin woman under this power armor, and the weight of her hand on your shoulder is very light. She's like, "Sister, thank you so much. Most all of my sisters have already passed, but not, I hope not all. And she looks at you all, and she looks at the two sisters, and she's like, "Sisters." And then she looks over at V, and she's like, "Brother." And then she looks at Talv. She's like, "Where is this one from?"
He is with me. You can speak freely.
She goes, "We were safe here. We were hidden. No one knew of this enclave. No one had breached its walls. A few days ago, Feronius reached out to the head of my order, and was asking for our aid. And within a day, traitor marines and cultists descend on our enclave, kill us, murder us." She spits on the ground. "You have a traitor within your flotilla, and a traitor that sentenced my entire enclave to death, and perhaps worse, damnation at the hands of the Ruinous powers. Brother, sisters, whatever happens, this cannot be allowed to stand. Whoever that traitor is, whoever they are, they must be found. Even if we fall here, they must be stopped.
They will face the Emperor's judgment, be it by our flames or, and she'll look towards, V and Talv, or any other means necessary, but it will be dealt with. And
Thank you.
Time is of importance. Where are the rest of your sisters?
The only one that I've seen alive was Prosecutor Escar Cillian, the leader of our order. She fled deeper into the Enclave, trying to pull off some of these chaos creatures and traitor marines, so that some of our other sisters may have escaped. You should have passed them on the way in.
I'm sorry, but they were ambushed.
No. Are you saying that Prosecutor Cillian and I are the last remaining Sisters of Silence here? We must find her. I don't know what purpose brought you here to this enclave, but we must find her if she still lives.
We are here to recover a navigational asset. Do you know what I speak of?
There's no technology here, Imperium, Xenos, or otherwise. Go ahead, Sister Celeste, and give me a difficulty 3 Scholar or Insight check.
Or insight. I'll do Scholar.
Ashley should roll all the checks.
5, but I have a wrath complication.
Go ahead and roll the complication. I've got an idea for what it could be, but we'll see what that comes up.
Machine spirit. Some technology in the scene malfunctions. This could be something I own or something I'm interacting with.
So Gavious is really close there. You're there. And this null field is interacting. And Gavious, you see these tiny bird servo skulls that have been circling in you and spewing this incense. They deactivate and fall to the ground. However, Sister Celeste, you don't really notice this going on because
I'm focused.
It clicks in your mind. These sisters are the navigational asset. You realize, based on your studies of the Sisters of Silence, the Adeptus Sororitas archives, that a large enough group of Sisters of Silence together could shape and project this null field and actually push back warp incursions. In other words, they could become the spearhead in front of a ship and that would allow the ship to push its way through the warp storm and return to the Imperium of Man. But now that their numbers have been devastated, you know that is that there's no way they could pull off that plan now. But you do recognize that it was the sisters themselves who were the navigational asset.
All right. It is of the utmost importance that we find and recover any living sisters, be that wounded who's on the edge of death who can be redeemed, or, like you said, the other sister who was clearing the way.
Yes, we must find Prosecutor Cillian. She moved deeper in, as I said, to try to draw off the enemies of mankind. We have to find her. She's the greatest of us.
Could I possibly do she mentioned that there's a traitor among us. Could I possibly do some type of awareness check, see if anyone had a reaction to that statement?
Absolutely. You could do a psychic mastery check, basically using telepathy.
But
no, that's right. She's in your area. Well, it could potentially work, but it's much more difficult. Yeah, go ahead and give me, but not an awareness. Give me an insight.
Difficulty what, 3?
Get a standard difficulty 3. I just want to see how many successes you get. As you're looking around and watching everybody.
Can I re-roll, I guess?
Yeah, you can spend a wrath point to re-roll.
Would you like to spend a glory when you do that?
No. So I got 5 successes with the wrath critical.
Okay, so you're looking around. This is what you do. You're an interrogator. None of the members of your party react at all to this statement, and other than to react in anger or disbelief. But no one appears to be trying to hide anything, or there's no reaction of guilt in any of them.
Okay. I guess I'll just add a point. Did we add a point of glory for my wrath critical then?
You can do it for your shift, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just do that. Okay, that's all I wanted to make sure.
Okay. So are you gonna proceed deeper into the enclave?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. As you start to move through, the deeper you go, you actually start to hear the sounds of running feet. Many, many tracks of running feet as you're going through. And then you see an intersection. You see spent bolter shells on the ground. You see areas of the wall that have been scorched with some sort of eldritch fire. And the scent and stench of brimstone is heavy in the air. As your sister, as Angelica moves through the halls, these slight sorcerous fires that are still burning immediately snuff out as they come in contact with her null field. But the sounds of running feet have stopped, and now you hear once again the sounds of combat. Screams, the sound of bolter fire, the smell of cordite coming up from, it looks like a large room or an intersection of hallways. You can see shadows dancing about. What would you like to do?
Am I able to stay far enough away to be able to do my things?
Possibly. You can't see anything going on in there at the moment.
I'm just saying far enough away from my sister to be able to, like...
Yeah, potentially.
Okay, all right.
So it's inside. So in terms of like the space, like you said, is it more like an open hall or an open courtyard, or is it more like is it roofed or anything like that?
Yeah, so you guys are all underground. So you're running down this corridor, and you can see where it's opened up, and the sounds echoing around are kind of informing to you that it's opening into a large space. You don't know if it's a large intersection of corridors or some sort of courtyard or a large room, because you're not really close enough yet to check. But from within that space, you can hear the sounds of combat.
Okay. I think Talv is gonna move up, seeing if he can get his senses on, get some kind of visual sensation. Looking I'd say less stealthy and more careful, like looking to make sure he doesn't trigger something, making sure there's not like any kind of trap or any kind of motion sensor. So probably not so much stealthy as he is, just being a little careful as he moves up.
Okay, give me an awareness check.
Okay. Got a difficulty in mind?
Just a difficulty 3.
Okay.
You'll get more information for higher successes.
All right. 4 successes.
Okay, so as you move up, you don't see any kind of traps or anything, but as you get close and you look in, it does look like a large open courtyard that is an intersection for 5 different hallways leading off of it. But right in the middle of the courtyard, you see a woman in golden armor fighting against 3 bloodletter demons. And she's viciously tearing into them. And as they move closer to her, they start to slow down and become less coordinated. And right in that moment, you see her stick her bolter pistol down the throat of one and pull the trigger. And it explodes and dissipates back into the Imperium. But that's not what really catches your eye. What really catches your eye is coming out of the corridor kind of next to you. You hear the sound of clapping. And you see an Emperor's child. But his armor is much more horrific than the armor that you saw on others. And it's dripping iconography. And he's got skulls lifting off of it. And some of the most obscene pictograms on his pauldrons that make even your sightless eyes want to turn away from it. And he's just moving closer, and flanking him is another of the Emperor's children. And he just says, "Oh, The wretched witches of Lion's Gate are almost done. I shall have you all now. As Terranax, the Eye, a chaos sorcerer of the Adeptus Astartes, moves in with his shield brother, to slay the last sister of Silence, who was now fighting against 2 bloodletters. What do you guys want to do?
Oh, Berick's gonna charge.
They have not seen you yet, so
Can I buff you before you go?
Sure, if you're with me, if you're on my 6, if you wanna.
You just have to be within hearing range, or yeah. So
I will turn back to you and I will mouth the words, "Juice me," and then I wanted to use that a couple weeks ago. I never got a chance.
yeah, she's gonna again cast the passion upon Talv per like our usual kind of thing.
Nice.
And but her prayer has kind of shifted to properly reflect Talv in the sense of like it's more about removing the weakness of the flesh and embracing augments, kind of. You know, who knows?
Nice.
But also she includes the Emperor, but whatever.
Sure. Whatever. You better be mentioning on the side there. So yeah, I mean, Beric is probably waiting for her to, and once that goes
Once
through,
you got that
charge
tap
again.
on your back,
Yeah, he'll charge in and try to help the prosecutor.
So are you going for one of the bloodletters, or are you going to try to go for one of the traitor marines?
Oh, Talov's going for one of the traitor marines. Like he's going to charge right at him.
Are you moving towards the sorcerer or
that's a good question.
the other one?
So this is probably a question. Which one would Talov think is the greater threat?
The sorcerer, without a doubt, is the greater
Then
threat.
Talov's going for the sorcerer.
And as you move closer, I'll roll over your awareness success. You also see this like scintillating pastel field of energy surrounding him, warping around him. And as you move closer towards him, as you charge closer to him, you see the images of writhing demons in this pastel colors, almost as if the warp is fluxing at this point, and the actions of these demons as you move closer are so horrific that I need you to make a difficulty 5 conviction test.
All right.
As you move into engage.
All right. Difficulty 5. This is corruption, I assume.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Sorry, is this a something that my angelic presence affects or no?
Resolve is for fear, so this is conviction, which is for corruption.
And can I wrath
reroll? Yep, you certainly can.
Okay, so let me go ahead and do that, and I will spend a glory to get an extra one because I don't want to fail this.
That's wise.
Okay. It's one more, then I get another D6. Actually, I'm already up to 6. I'm already up to 5 successes. Yeah, 5 successes. Good to go.
Okay. So you feel this wash over you, but the motive force and the will of the Omnissiah, you just push it aside. This corruption can't touch you.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
And he runs. There's like this momentary hesitation, but it's not even really him that's hesitating. It's just kind of like you almost see like the Electus just kind of pause in terms of their fluctuation for like the briefest of moments. And then again, he simple man, he just leaps and tries to just bring his brand new staff down on top of this sorcerer. That's what he's looking to do. Okay, I'm so excited. It's the first time I get to use it. It's like, it's got that new staff smell, guys.
Yummy.
Oh, goodness. It's that electro coke we were talking about in chat. All right. Okay, so what is the difficulty for my attack?
His defense is 6.
Okay, 6. Okay, here we go. That's going to be 7 successes.
Nice.
I just like to try to front load. So I'm going to re-roll the 3 Excuse me, the 4, because I have one more wrath point, because I already extolled the virtues of augmentics over flesh.
That's right.
And let me go ahead and see if I can get some shifts. And I was able to get 2 shifts, as I have 10 total successes.
Wow.
And I will shift them into damage. And
Very cool.
I'll take, and I'll do like one more glory as well for damage. So I just dropped it down to 4. So I'm using a total of 3. So it's going to be 21 points of damage.
AP 4, nice.
4 AP. And because it's, and so however many wounds he takes, he also takes that amount of shock as well.
So 10. Hold on, let me
Yeah, he does.
roll his determination.
I don't have my melee buddy with me. I kind of miss Wigbert. I don't have my wingman.
Right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So you see this blow come down on this field, and it cracks through. And you see him. His head turns and looks at you, and you've done some damage to him, without a doubt. Maybe not as much damage as you would have thought you would have done, but this field, this pulsating pastel demonic field around him, immediately lashes out and strikes at you. So he spends a point of his personal glory, and this is a particular reaction he gets. So this is not his action. This is just a reaction to being hit. As these horrible warp energy tentacles strike out at you. What is your defense?
Defense is 3.
Well, that's a lot of dice.
Oh, but he did get a complication. So let's see what that complication is first. Out of ammo. It doesn't really apply here. So I'm going to say he loses his movement action as these tentacles wrap around it. The force of your blow staggers him a little bit. So his complication is he's going to lose his movement action. 18 damage, AP 2.
Okay. I also need him to roll. He also suffers damage equal to my rank. So my rank is only 1, which I have a problem with mechanically. Like, we just elevated to tier 3 and rank. My damage has gone down on this. I don't understand why it works that way. But
it is a quirky mechanical thing. It's basically saying, you're at a novice level of tier 3 at this point, as opposed to being an expert at tier 2. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. There's my biggest pet peeve mechanically with the game, but it is what it is.
And he also has to make a DN3 toughness test.
All right.
And my 4 AP didn't do that many wounds to him. 4 AP?
I mean, you did wounds to him, but you didn't. I mean, normally a hit like that would have destroyed anything you hit. But this guy stayed on his feet, which is, he got 6 successes on his toughness.
Okay, he's good to go.
Yeah, I'm not saying you didn't do damage. You did damage. And you can see.
How many wounds though? Because my staff absorb. I have my siphon.
Oh,
vigor.
okay. You did 5 wounds to him.
All right. So 5 wounds and 5 shock.
Yep.
As well.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Jeff, he's a horny space marine. He's gonna take a lot of hits. He's used to that physical torture.
You're gonna be way back there in the hallway, forgetting to roll leadership. I don't want to hear it from you.
It was a solid hit, though. It was an absolutely solid hit.
Guys, you're gonna do great.
But it's their turn now, unless somebody wants to seize the initiative.
I'll seize the initiative
Go for it.
with a point of glory. I'm gonna do a compel. Let's get into some minds. I'm gonna try and compel one of these demons to turn and attack this psyker space marine as well.
All right, talk to us about compel.
And playing a simple command in the mind of a nearby creature. like I say, like drop the weapon, open the door, push him, stuff like that. I'm gonna say attack the Psyker Space Marine to one of the what are they, bloodletters? Is that what they are?
Yep, bloodletter.
And so I'll do that. And so basically, it is a target creature must successfully pass a DN4 willpower test or be compelled to obey. I would assume demons don't have a ton of willpower.
You would probably be wrong about that. Well, I mean, you
All
might
right.
be. I don't know. We'll see. So a DN4 willpower check.
Mm-hmm.
They are a little buffed because they're here with these Chaos Space Marines who summoned them, but we'll see. Might not make it. He's okay.
Shit.
He
All right,
is
well.
okay.
I tried.
It was a good idea. It was a good idea. So it's back to these guys and Birk. You see that field glows really brightly for a second, and then it just bursts like a soap bubble, and he's gone. And he reappears right in the middle of all of the rest of you and lashes out. You see these horrible tentacles coming out. You see a force staff swinging at you, and you see this bolter pistol firing off rounds. Let's have some fun.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a multi-attack. He's attacking everyone.
Oh no.
He is
Oh, thank
because of some of his abilities, it doesn't the everybody except for Birk, who's no longer in engagement range. But the multi-attack isn't quite as bad for him as it would be for normal people.
I'm in danger.
So-
Did you heal yourself?
One.
So D4,
Oh, that's right.
1 is Gavious' sister, 2 is Gavious, 3 is Sister Celeste, and 4 is Sister Nora for the Force Staff. Gavious. So he must have felt your psychic energy as you pushed out at that, and he recognizes you as a threat. So you feel the psychic energy coming off of this Force stave as he whips it around expertly, as only someone who's been alive for thousands of years honing his skills could, in an attempt to murder you. What is your defense?
Defense is 2.
Okay, all right.
Ooh.
This could be
I'm a
fun.
Fragile man. Oh my god.
So he
So
hit.
many-
You only got one shift, though.
So many dice.
19 damage. What is your resilience?
7.
7. Oh, that's not too bad. So it's down to 12. Well, it's 6 because he's got AP 1. So it's down to 13 points of damage. How many wounds do you have?
I have none right now.
No, I mean, what's your total?
Oh,
though?
I have 9. Sorry.
9. Okay, so it's not. He didn't kill you with one blow, but you are dying currently, right?
Well, can I roll determination to?
Yes, you can. Please do, in fact.
All right, so do that.
Oh, nice roll. So that's 4. So you take 4 points of shock and 5 wounds.
All right.
You still up? Then?
Yeah, I have 9 wounds. So.
Oh, okay. Then you're good. You're fine.
Nothing.
Nothing. And then these tendrils and tentacles whip out at Sister Celeste and Sister Nora. We'll go with Sister Celeste first. What is your defense?
3. Yikes.
Okay. Successes, one possible shift. 17 points of damage. 18. What's your resilience?
10.
Then so it takes it down to 8. So it's 10 points of damage. Would you like to roll determination?
I would like to try.
I love it. Okay, so that's
Just
2. So 2 shock, 8 wounds. How are you doing?
8 wounds
Yikes.
greatly exceeds my 2 I had available.
Okay, so you're dying.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, dying in this game is not like dead. It's just dying. So remember, when you're dying,
She literally
can
dies
only-
like every week.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
Actually,
I do.
maybe
So,
check on someone else.
so you fall prone. Well, I'm
Yeah.
trying to kill everybody tonight. I mean, you fall prone, and you can only take simple actions while you're dying. If
Yep.
you suffer any more wounds, you take a traumatic injury. And if you suffer more traumatic injuries than your tier +1, you die. So at this point, it would be 5 traumatic injuries.
Yes.
But you're fine. Sister Nora, he swings around with this horrifying mutation at you as well. And what's your defense?
3.
As these warp tendrils reach out to scrape at you, he does get 4 successes. 17 points of damage, AP2. What is your resilience?
10.
10. Okay, so that takes it down to an 8. So you take 9 points of damage. What?
I will roll determination.
Wonderful.
And roll absolutely awfully.
Okay,
Shit.
so you just take the wounds.
How many wounds was that again? Sorry.
No, that's okay. That was 9 wounds.
Yeah.
No, hold on. Yeah, AP2. That's right. So it was 8, 18, 10. Yeah, 9 wounds. 9 wounds.
Uh-huh. So I was sitting at 3 of 10. So now I'm at 12 of 10.
Okay,
12
so you're
being greater than 10.
you've also so he knocks both of the sisters prone, and you're currently in dying conditions. And then Gavious, he reaches out and just grabs your sister by the throat. He's like, "We will not allow your kind to stop us this time, sister." And he begins to squeeze. It's back to you guys.
I'm going to and sorry, I want to shoot him twice if possible. And so what is that going to mean for my attempt at doing that? Because
So you want to shoot him with both pistols?
yeah, so that's going to be
That's a multi-attack, and you can only do basic
Yeah.
combat actions right now, so you really can only just shoot him once.
okay.
because you're
All
dying.
right. Okay, I'm going to shoot him once.
I love it. You going to do anything special, like a called shot or anything like that?
I just had that open and then I closed it. Why did I close that? So you know what? I am forgetting because I'm silly.
Well, actually, you can't do a
Um,
called shot because you can only do a basic combat action. Sorry, I keep screwing that up myself. So
Gotta shoot him
shoot him.
for real.
Shoot
Actually,
her.
just going to shoot him. Gonna try to shoot him. Gonna see how that. Crap.
That is not. It's not going to get through. But you have wrath. So
I do have wrath. We started with 2 wrath, right, at the beginning.
you did, yes.
Okay, so I am down to 0 wrath, and then I want to take a glory
Mhm.
as well, which.
And I
because
will
just
say
add an extra
this:
D6 at the end.
the moment he grabbed Gavious' sister and pulled her close, that pastel warp fog that was swirling around him lessened a little bit. Almost
So-
as if her blank talent was sapping away some of the energy from it. So,
Okay, so that ended up being 5 successes. The extra
Mhm.
one didn't do anything.
so now 5 successes is enough to hit him. So roll damage.
17 damage, AP 4.
17 damage, AP4. Hold on. So that's 4, 11, 6. He will roll determination. Okay. You heard him. You see this plasma burn cook across his body, cook some of his ancient power armor, and set his part of his face to blistering. And he looks shaken by this.
As do I.
And then you see this other Chaos Space Marine moves in and swings his chain-sword at Talv. What is your defense?
300.
300. That's impressive. I like 300. That's a lot.
It's a good move.
He gets
It's good
4
move.
successes, though.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And what is your resilience?
7.
7. So that is 6 points of damage that we'll get through. Do you want to roll determination?
Yes, please. All right.
Roll well.
This was how many wounds? How many wounds did you say it was? 13.
No, total of 6 after your
6.
resilience.
Okay, gotcha. Right. Okay.
Oh
That
god,
is
nice. 6,
very good
7,
roll.
8. So that's all.
8.
So all 6 go to shock.
Okay.
Wow.
And then I also am going to, since that was a melee attack, you said with the chainsaw.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I need another. Okay, so I need.
Toughness.
Okay, so they suffer one shock because it's equal to my damage, so that's automatic, and then they also roll the toughness test. Yeah,
All right, let's
it's
see
D and
what we
3.
got here.
This is my right of the Voltageist, so it's basically my Voltageist field protects me and bursts every now and then.
Sadly,
Very cool,
he
very cool.
succeeded. Sadly, he
Yeah,
succeeded.
I don't really think that one's going to work very often, but I like that. I like just that little needling of a shock.
Oh, it's
damage,
cool.
Though. Yeah.
I mean, you're facing it against a traitor marine, so I mean, it's one-on-one against a traitor marine is terrifying. But that's so the enemies have gone. Who is left on your side? I believe that would be Sister Celeste.
Just Celeste, I think. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Unless we're counting Celeste doing my buff in the same round.
Oh
Nah.
yeah, no.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not that evil.
Oh god, what do I do? Oh fuck, I should have used that. Okay, well it's too late. Okay. Next time, I guess. I guess I'm still gonna try and just shoot this guy.
Okay.
Da-da. Maybe my permissions are weird on my sheet.
While you guys are figuring that out, welcome readers from AMPCND. Thanks for stopping by.
I don't know. All right, so you're just gonna try to shoot him with your plasma pistol?
Yeah, can you just rip my plasma pistol?
You got it.
Yeah,
And a
because I
belated
can't
thank you
even
to
change
Tales of
anything.
Initiative as well.
You hit.
Wrath
You got a
critical.
wrath critical. So Sister
Nice.
Celeste, you're crushing it. Let's see what the wrath critical is.
Stunning
Nice.
blow
2
some-
shock, staggered, plus 2 shock for every glory you spend. Let's roll some damage. Let's see what we got here. 15 damage, AP3. So your plasma pistol does burn him, and he does appear to be he's staggered by it, but it doesn't look like it did a lot of damage,
Okay,
as it just kind of cooked his armor a bit.
got it. Would adding 3 more shock to that do anything?
I mean, you'd increase his shock, but he doesn't seem to be too. Mechanically speaking, he doesn't seem to be too impacted by shock, almost as if shock has very little effect on him. So,
Okay, then I'm gonna save it then. Okay, cool.
okay. That brings us around to the top of the round. Now, at that point, Gavious, your sister Angelica, looks at you from the choking hold of this chaos source, and she goes, "Brother, at least I will die having seen you one last time." And you could tell she's pushing her null field as hard as she can to try to limit what this guy can do. What do you want to do?
Do we have to seize the initiative or no? Right? No.
No, it's the top of the round. You guys get to go first if you
So
want.
I'll spontaneously combust this bitch as hard as I can, I guess.
You feel that the
Nice.
only way to pull this off, to get with close enough so that you can basically get past your own sister's null field is basically to grab a hold of this guy.
Okay. So what I'll do, flavor text, right, is I'll jump, I'll push myself forward, grab this man and say, all of this was for you. Everything I've done for you. You will not die. This is for you. And then let's try and cast this bitch
All right.
into the holy fire.
Talk to us about spontaneous combustion.
What was it again? Focus my rage, eyes glowing with warp fire, until the enemies burst into flame. Target hits with the power suffer 12 plus 1 ED damage and must make a successful DN4 agility test to avoid being set on fire.
Okay. So roll to hit him.
So psychic mastery, what's the difficulty going to be?
And the difficulty is now down to 4 as your sister continues to erode his runic defenses.
So I'm going
Succeed?
to. Oh, so I succeed. Okay, but does it matter if I re-roll stuff on this?
Yes, it
Okay.
does.
So I'm gonna spend glory for another dice.
And wrath.
Did you
to
spend wrath?
reroll.
Yeah, and wrath. So how do you spend do I just roll an extra dice afterwards? Is that how that works?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So I'll do that and then roll another dice.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll do that.
All right.
10 successes.
10 successes, 3 possible shifts. So what are the shifts for spontaneous combustion?
Wasn't it limits movements? I forget.
Well, with 3, I think you get an additional. So let me double check here. I got it open. It's +1 ED damage for 2 potency. So you can roll an extra damage dice when you roll damage.
Okay. Yeah, I was also plus range too, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't really matter because you're holding on to him.
Yeah.
So it's 12 base damage, right? Plus, go ahead and roll your extra dice, your extra damage dice.
So just this D6.
Yep. 4. Okay. So you feel this immense heat cooking through him as you're holding against him. And it's almost like you're sandwiched between this warp layer that's dying from him and his own infernal body as it begins to catch fire. He throws your sister away as he screams out and bellows in pain as he grabs a hold of you and goes up like a warp fire candle. And then you guys all feel this soap bubble-like pull as his death punctures the Imperium and pulls him physically and spiritually back into the warp. And in the spot where Gavious was embroiled with Terranax the Eye, there's nothing but a burnt ash outline of where they stood. The Chaos Space Marine attacking Birk looks back, and I'm going to say loses his round because he is shocked by the death of his leader. Back to you.
Well, Birk will take advantage of that opportunity, I think. Yeah. So as he's looking, Birk doesn't pay attention to what's behind, and so he'll just
doesn't care, even if he did.
I don't want to sit here and lie to you. So there's a job to do. There's a Chaos Space Marine. There's a trader in front of me. So he, as the Marine's looking back, he doesn't even follow his gaze. He just takes advantage of the opportunity. And I'm going to wild attack. I'm just going to go all out.
And you do get an additional +2 on your attack because he is distracted.
All right.
In addition to your wild attack bonuses.
Question about what's it called? Question about shock. So when shock kind of converts to like the whole exhaustion stuff, is that when it hits your threshold, or is
Exceeds.
it has to exceed?
Like, once your shock is maxed, that's when you fall into exhaustion. So if you've got 10 shock, when you get to 10, that's when you get exhausted.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So defense.
Defense is 4.
All right. This is 4. All right, here we go. Swinging away. That is 9 successes with 2 shifts possible, which will go into damage, undoubtedly.
That's nice.
So, and then I'll spend... I'll spend 2 glory from the pool to add that to damage as well. So it's going to be +4 to this damage. So this is going to be a total of 18 points of damage, AP4.
AP4, nice. 18 takes that down to 8. Describe your kill.
Yeah, so I think while the guy's just like looking and turning his head, I'll just spin the staff and I'll move around and I will just take the staff and just smash it into the back of his head, just essentially braining him from behind, and kind of take advantage of it. Super simple, and then just let the body fall. He'll spin. He'll get the staff back in his hand, and he'll like look out for the next target, like whether or not the prosecutor has finished with these demons or not.
As you turn around, you in fact see the prosecutor walking towards you, and you just see this sludge across the ground. That's clearly where the blood letters were. And she rushes to the side of Angelica Vintael, and just sees that she's basically exhausted from her efforts, but that she is there. And in that moment, there is a calm and quiet. Talv and Sister Nora and Sister Celeste, you feel uncomfortable in the presence of these 2 sisters of silence as they go about tending to your wounds. But in that moment, you are safe, and you have defeated the Chaos Legions, but at a terrible cost, as Gavious Vintael gave his life and perhaps his immortal soul to protect the life of his beloved sister, who he was reunited with this evening. So, join us in 2 weeks as we learn about the fallout of what happened at the Enclave of the Silent Sisters, and what's that mean for our team of troubleshooters going forward as they attempt to protect the Gilead system from the threats of the Xenos scum, mutants, heretics, and as we've seen tonight, demons and traitor Adeptus Astartes. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks to all of my players for having fun with some tier 3 play. Really surprised that only Gavious died tonight. I did my best to TPK, but you guys are just too good. You're just too good.
I feel like Celeste is like the boy that cried wolf. Like at a certain point, like I feel like the rest of us, you know what? Bam, you're dead. Like enough. Just die already. Just die.
How are you still alive? You do not have enough of a physical body left to be alive.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just here to keep the rest of the flesh bags moving, okay?
You do a good job.
Turn around.
That was fun.
Expecting to see Celeste, and we just find a literal toaster behind us. Oh, she's with us still in spirit.
She's made another change there. Change.
Tier 4 is really strange. That's kind of going sideways.
We've got slid into some Doctor Who territory here, but yeah, you got anybody watching at home, you probably realize that this is not a Litanies of Lost, but this is actually or based on a published PDF from Cubicle 7 called The Null Hypothesis that introduces blanks into Wrath and Glory. So if you're running Wrath and Glory and you're interested in having blank characters, either Sisters of Silence or other people with the blank talent, you should check out the Null Hypothesis PDF. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.
That's all I got for tonight.
I'll put a link to it in the descript and everything too. Yeah. I've
got to find a better way to kill you all off because you're a little too tough. But I'll come up with something. I've got 2 weeks. All right, Jeff.
But then we get Wigbert back.
You get Wigbert back. And whoever Justin decides to bring to the table.
Oh, I thought we were just kicking him off.
Just dumping the player? That seems a little harsh.
It's awkward.
So long, everybody.
I was already reaching out to
And
replacements.
cheers.
Ooh, sending some messages to people. I better call those back.
Cool.
All right. So, Aaron, why don't you tell us about what's going off on Garbalag next week?
Yeah, thanks. So next week, please join us on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jim will be back in the driver's seat as we return to another Cubicle 7 game as we play Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition. Do tune in either live on our Twitch channel or on YouTube because we are starting out with a pub brawl between our group and a bunch of halflings. And you just can't make this shit up. It's going to be glorious. Then on Thursday at the same time, well, it might be something slightly more serious as Ben continues season 3 of our Dune campaign revolving around House Dargouche called Canley. So join him with that.
Fantastic. As for us, next games tomorrow, we got some Call of Cthulhu. We're starting up a new location in Mexico. We're also going to have a giveaway announcement that I'm just going to announce tomorrow, but soft announce it here. So come hang out with us tomorrow and hear about what you must do, as we're tired of just giving stuff away for free. You got to do something for us. And it's really, you don't really have to do much for us. Just join the Discord. All you really got to do is join the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, just join the Discord. And we're going to give away some stuff from our good friends from Rust Foundry. So come hang out with us tomorrow and find out some more details. Monday, we got some Fragged Empire as we continue our space shenanigans over there. A little bit more shenanigans, I think, in Fragged Empire, but still very fun. And Tuesday, we should be back to Frontier Scum. And Thursday, we've got Simba Room. If you like your dark fantasy RPG, come hang out with that. And check out the YouTube page, Adventures in Lollygagging. You can see our Alien game and various other games we've played in the past, including things like Hunter and Werewolf and all their fun stuff. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to raid somebody that is actually playing Werewolf the Apocalypse, DM Daddy RPG. So if you like Werewolf, we've been talking about Werewolf all day in the Discord. So go ahead, follow the raid, watch some Werewolf, and then when you're done with that, go watch our old Werewolf game on YouTube. And we'll see you later. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Good night.